love when coaches, consultants, and professional service providers want to do big things in their business. They want to rise to the top and influence their market and the world around them. They want to have a greater impact and make a more lucrative income. Well, if this is you, welcome to Expert in You Podcast, the show where I interview other experts and coaches, consultants, so that they can share their success strategies with you. We're going to talk about marketing and how to close more sales, how to get more premium clients, and how to really build your visibility in the market and scale your business like a boss. If this is you, welcome to the show. I want to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you don't miss one episode. Grab your coffee and buckle up because we are ready to give it all to you to help you become the expert and get paid as the expert that you are. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Expert in You Podcast. I'm your host, Ann Carden. And this week you are going to love my guest, and I can't wait to dig in with her. I have Amanda Geracio with me today. She's a brand strategist and designer that partners with serial entrepreneurs, strivers, freedom seekers, and multi-passionate empire builders to craft branding that feels right, works hard, and looks awesome. She really brings a holistic approach and structured approach to branding that helps you make the next level of business the best one yet. Life introduced her to the world of freelancing post-college, which is exactly what led her to becoming an accidental entrepreneur. I think a lot of us have done that. And she quickly fell in love with the freedom that it gave her. And these days she resides in Round Rock, Texas, with her husband, daughter, and dog. And she's an avid traveler, an amateur chef, and can be found with her nose in a book. So, Amanda, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Ann.
So let's talk a little bit about, first of all, where is it in Texas? How close is that to Dallas?
It's about 2.5, 3 hours from Dallas. It's right outside Austin. It's basically North Austin is where I am.
So my son and my grandkids and his family are all right north of Dallas. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes. So we get to Texas a lot. It's a long haul when we drive. And so, okay. So let's talk about a little bit more about your story.
Okay.
And we'll dive into some really juicy stuff for people that can really teach them and some takeaways for them. So first of all, thank you so much for being here.
Yes. Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. All right. So let's talk a little more about how you got into this and just everything that brought you to this point.
Yeah. So I've always had a creative streak as far back as I can remember. I was that kid who was making my own books out of paper that I stapled together and illustrated and writing them, or buying those, I don't know if you remember those posters, those black and white posters that used to come in the yellow tubes, and you could take them out and color them, just fill in the color ones. Yes, those were my thing back in the day. So I've always kind of had that creative streak. And then computers kind of came on the scene when I was in middle school, and that really sparked my interest too. And so both my dad and a teacher I had in high school kind of fostered my love for exploring creativity on the computer. So with 3D art programs, with Photoshop, and it just kind of blew my mind open, what I could do with the intersection of art and tech. So when it came time to go to college, that's what I majored in. I majored in design because that kind of married both of my interests. So that's what I got my degree in. And then after college, I ended up down in Austin because I followed a boy down here, and intended to get a job in-house somewhere or an agency, as you do, full-time salaried employee kind of job. Mm-hmm. But while I was looking for that, my boyfriend at the time suggested, why not take on, some freelance projects just in the meantime, so you have some income, for the job search instead of just having nothing. And I was like, I'd never even thought about that, considered freelancing or going out on my own or anything.
Were all of the platforms available then that we have out now?
Gosh, no. Okay. There was not much at all. It was basically Craigslist.
Oh, and I forgot about that. Oh,
my God. Most of my clients starting out were from Craigslist, actually. And a few of those worked out so well and were like repeat clients because they had regular work for me. I was like, I'm just going to do this. This is great. I get to work from home. I don't have a commute or to deal with traffic. I get to set my own hours. Like there was no going back for me once I got a taste of that. So
that's probably why a lot of people have not gone back to work after the pandemic. Too.
Right.
People, like,
Yeah.
There could be a different life.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Keep going. I love this. What a great story.
Oh, thank you. So I did that for a couple of years, just freelancing, kind of anything anybody would pay me to design. I was like the jack of all trades designer, right? Did that for a long time. Eventually realized I wanted to be more seen in like the expert role, be valued not just for my ability to use the Adobe programs, but also like for the thought I put into it. And that kind of naturally led to focusing on branding because I feel like that's where the most strategy comes into play with design. And I love it and I'm good at it and it really, really helps my clients. So since about 2015, that's what I have been specializing in is branding.
Nice. So who are some of the best clients for you? What makes a good client for you, I should say?
Yeah. So for me, I like my intro said, I love those like serial entrepreneurs, those people that have their fingers in lots of different business pies and are building an empire and, already know the value of branding because they've been in the business world for a while and they know how it works and they know that's not their area of expertise. And so they want to put it in the hands of somebody who will handle it for them. Like that is my person. They're ready to get stuff done. They're action takers. They're decisive. They're, all about freedom from things that they don't want to do.
So first of all, very smart from a strategic side of the business, because if they're serial entrepreneurs, they're going to need different brands for all of the different things.
That too. Yes. Ideally, they'll come back to me for each of the new businesses. Yes.
So it's like you're getting all of it. It's like they're feeding you the business, which is really, really smart. So leveraged. I love that. So how many clients? So first of all, do you have a big team in your company or talk about your company a little bit?
Yeah, it is mostly just me. I am still these days technically a solopreneur. Occasionally I bring in a subcontractor to handle, if I need some copywriting for a project that the client doesn't want to handle, or we have a website project where the development is a little beyond my skills and we need something custom. I'll bring in somebody for that, but it's mostly me working one-on-one with my clients because I don't really want to manage people. That's not where my zone of genius is. I want to have my finger in the actual doing of the design and the strategy. So
you plan on staying solo then for the most part, it sounds like.
In my current mindset, yes, I'm leaving that open to change if I change my mind. But for how I see it for right now, yes, I plan on staying solo.
And how long have you been in your business again?
Studio Geracio is 8 years old. I've been independent and freelancing since 2006. So 17 years. Yeah.
Lots and lots. So are you at this point, you're very well established. I'm sure you're not on those platforms for freelancing and things like that because you built your company. But is that something that you wish you would have had way back when?
Oh gosh. Yeah. There are so many resources for freelancers these days. Yes. Not just like, finding the actual gigs, like the job platforms and gig platforms, but just, resources as far as here's what you need in your contract. Here's the legal things you need to be aware of. Here's the, tax issues you need to I had no clue about any of that. So it was very much a learn as I went along kind of thing.
So how do you set yourself that, branding is such a busy space, like coaching is, like a lot of industries are. How do you really set yourself apart from the freelancers, from the price shoppers, from the people that think they can go get it on Fiverr or on Upwork or wherever that is, the $99 logos or whatever.
Yeah, 99 designs.
I don't even know if that's still out there, but how do you really distinguish the difference and convince people that you're really a premium strategist and brand specialist?
Yeah. I'm going to zero in on one word you said there. You said convince people. I am not in the business of convincing anybody. If I have to work at convincing them, then they are not the person for me. So that's kind of how I arrived at the niche I work with these days, is the serial entrepreneurs, of people who get it already.
Yes.
Because they don't need convincing. They need to know why me versus some other brand designer, but they don't need to be convinced about the importance of branding or why they should invest in it. Because honestly, that gets, I was in that space for a while before I kind of found my footing, and that just gets exhausting trying to like convince people that you're worth it, I guess. And it's like, can be also very demoralizing. So it's like, we're done with that.
Yeah, I love it. So one of the things that you really did do to set yourself apart, it sounds like you went the serial entrepreneur route. So that is different, right? That's different from what a lot of people are out there doing. And niching in any capacity is going to be helpful because it simplifies your marketing. It really creates an expert position for you, that you're the go-to person for that. So let's talk about the stages and the steps that you take people through. And I know that you have a very specific method that you walk people through. And I would just love to dig into that so that people can see what it really does take and the expertise that it really does take, that it isn't about going to Canva and, building your brand, right? There's a lot more to it than that. So let's dive into that.
Yeah. So the first step of the process is always the brand exploration and strategy. Like, we do that before we touch any colors or fonts or anything. Like, we stop, we have it can be anywhere from like an hour and a half call to like a whole half day workshop, depending on the client and the size of the team that's involved. But it's basically, we sit down and I take them through like all the questions that I need the answers to design effectively for them. So, like, why are they even in this business? What makes them different? Like, who are they trying to help? What is that transformation they provide? What is the personality they want to give off? What are the values that drive the business? Like all these kinds of internal, intrinsic, intangible questions that can really be good, like guideposts for not just the design direction, but the business as a whole. Because I feel once you get that clear, it helps narrow your focus. So you can automatically know, like, well, I said my business is going to be this and this, so I can just automatically discard all of the options that don't help me achieve that or don't communicate that or aren't in line with that. So once we do that, I kind of comb through all that information that I get. It's basically a big, messy brain dump that I do with my clients, which is
the same thing with my clients. So I understand.
And then I kind of comb through it for the parts that really stood out, the parts where, that thing was mentioned several times, so that must be important, kind of the nuggets. I kind of synthesize it into a more cohesive summary, I guess. And then I take that into design. So then I literally stick like a bunch of words at the top of my artboard and illustrated, like those words that I pull from that brand exploration, and just start playing with like shapes and colors and fonts and stuff to see, okay, what is, what's communicating those things? Like, how can we communicate that? What are the ideas that help bring that across? So it always starts with the logo at that point. The logo is kind of the cornerstone of the visual brand. And then from there, we set the color palette and the fonts. And those are kind of the building blocks of everything else that we might build for a client. So, depending on the client, that could include like social media templates, print pieces, packaging, their website, whatever it may be, trade show booths. I've done billboards. I've done all sorts of things, but we always start with that core because everything else builds off of that. And everything gets wrapped up in a nice brand guidelines document. So, they can take it and run with it themselves. They can onboard team members to handle it. They, down the road, if they have an in-house designer, they know what's going on. Often they come back to me for additional stuff, but I like to empower them to be able to use that to the best of their ability.
So you don't always do all of the done for you services. You really do more the strategic side of it.
I like to do all this.
You do?
I will say this. I do not do like the website and the logo side of things unless we do the strategy first. Like, I won't work
Right.
with
It doesn't make sense.
I won't work with an existing brand that I didn't have a hand in clarifying that strategy with.
Right.
I need to help them do that step first and make sure the branding is on point, and then I'll help them make whatever they want. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's great. So what kind of time frame is that process that you take people through?
Yeah. Again, it depends. Like if I'm working one-on-one with like a solopreneur, it's a lot quicker because there's less, less people have to get on board, less bureaucratic red tape necessarily. So that can,
Right.
and it depends how much I'm building out for them too. For just like the brand building blocks, the logo suite, the colors, the fonts, the brand guidelines. For a solopreneur, that's usually 3 to 4 weeks. For, a larger company, that can go more like 8 weeks, 10 weeks. And then of course the build out of the different things depends on how much we're doing, but yeah.
Right. So how do you work a lot of hours in your business, or do you work part-time in your business?
I am full-time in my business. It's not overtime. I set pretty healthy boundaries on when I can work and don't, because I am a mom too. So.
Oh, okay. So how many kids do you have?
Just one. She's 4 years old. She's about to be 5. She's going to start kindergarten.
Little.
She's
my
little.
goodness.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So
That
balance is important to me.
Yes, absolutely. That's fantastic. So let's talk about, we talked about the archetypes, right? I think when we kind of did the pre-interview, and I would like to dig into that a little bit more. And let's talk about that.
Yeah. So brand archetypes is something I've kind of learned and studied and used myself over the past couple of years. It's this idea that brands can kind of tap into universal archetypes, things, themes, characters that appear across time, across cultures, across geography. They're like universal in all the stories and myths that have appeared in human civilization, basically. So they're like instantly recognizable. So there's 12 of them. And, if I say something like the caregiver, that immediately brings something to mind. If I say something like the jester, that immediately brings a kind of character to mind. And so it kind of is, it's sort of a shortcut for tapping into that. I like to use it in a more strategic way, not just a one-note way. So I like to find the signature archetype for a brand, as well as their influencing archetype. So like their main archetype, and then kind of a sub-note to give it a little more nuance. And then I do the same thing for their ideal client too. And I think the magic really happens when you look at the strengths of each, the motivations of each, the fears of each, and how they interact. Because if you have your signature archetype and influencing archetype down, and what your client's signature and influencing archetypes are, then you know how to talk to them. You know how to talk directly to, what they're trying to achieve, what motivates them, how you specifically can help them with it in a way that also kind of, taps into this universal feeling, this universal idea. And that can be very powerful. It's almost like a subconscious thing once you kind of start setting it up this way.
So how can you get it for someone's client? So I can understand, excuse me, how you can go through the process to get theirs. How can you get that for their clients?
Yes. So it's about understanding what your ideal clients want, what motivates them, what drives them, where they're trying to get, basically. So for example, for me, with the serial entrepreneurs, their main archetype is explorer. They're always on to the new adventure, the next new thing. They just want to like open the horizons, keep exploring, keep trying new things. The influencing archetype is hero. So they want mastery. They want to achieve their goals. They want to, overcome something and triumph. So knowing that about my person, I can choose the language that I'm using. Like if you go to my homepage, you'll see, I talk about the next business adventure, or for strivers and freedom seekers and explorers and that kind of thing. So I'm trying to, I tap into that language a bit.
do that. Let me actually share my screen and let's pull it up and then people can see what we're now. If you are watching the audio version, I am so sorry about that. Hold on. I have to get rid of all of my windows here.
That's okay.
What's the website?
It's studiogeracio.com. So
okay.
GUERA SSIO.com.
SSIO. We'll hope this went in right. I always think it's fun if people can have a visual, so we will.
Yeah. Well, it'll actually open. That would be helpful.
Yeah, why is that not coming up?
I don't know. It would be a terrible time for my website host to be down.
Well, it's because we're recording on Zoom and Zoom slows everything down.
Oh, okay.
So it just takes a while. Okay, very cool. So here we are.
It's not actually showing it all yet. There we go.
No nonsense brand consulting for freedom seekers to bring your brand vision to life. Okay, awesome. All right. If you're looking at the YouTube video of this podcast, you can see this. So these are the different ways people can work with you. Let's make brand magic. I love that. All right. So what do you want people to see on here?
Yeah, if you go back up, actually just so it's not showing great on the Zoom call, but like this cycles through a couple different descriptors. And so that's to help people recognize themselves there. And then if you scroll down a little bit more.
Yeah, I see that. So it's changing. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And then if you scroll down to that green section underneath it, this is where kind of their archetypes and my archetypes kind of play together, because for my business, my signature archetype is actually ruler. You might think it'd be artist, which is one of them because of what I do as a designer. And that is my influencing archetype. But my signature archetype is ruler because I am so strong in the clarity and strategy part, because I bring order to things, because I have a clear process. So you'll see I kind of play with that. And then I also reference the artist side, the, transformation, the visuals, the magic that, the expression, the bringing vision to life. So all of those kind of trickle together and work together to make this copy.
I love here what it says, magnetic visual identity. That's probably such a great way to position, in a nutshell, what you do is really help people create identities that magnetically and visually not only pull their ideal people, but also stimulate and really attract the people that they're looking for.
Yeah.
So, yes. Awesome. I love this. All right. Let me stop my share. So what else would you like people to know that maybe we haven't hit on that you think is an important thing to leave them with?
Yeah, I think there are tons of resources out there. If you just search brand archetypes on Google, you'll see a ton of them. There's a really good one at a site called Iconic Fox that has an overview of each of them. I really like that as a resource because it kind of gives you the central idea behind each archetype. So for ruler, it is order. For explorer, it's freedom.
I'm going to listen for my own here. So,
do you want me? I can tell you all 12 and you can see if you're immediately one of them. Okay.
I want to see if I can choose mine because I haven't ever had this done. So I would love to choose to see. Yes. If
so and you'll hear them referred to by different names too, but the core ideas are the alchemist, which you may also hear as a magician, the artist, the explorer, the hero, the everyman, the innocent, the jester, the rebel, the nurturer, the romantic, the ruler, and the Sage. So those are the 12 different ones. And again, you'll hear different names for them sometimes, like Rebel is sometimes called Maverick, Innocent is sometimes called Child, but it's all the same kind of ideas. So I'm curious, just from that list, if one of them stood out to you at all.
No, read those again. No. No, nothing in particular. Like I could see myself in a few of them. So then how do you pull those together? Or do you just say, this is your strongest and this is the direction we go? How do you do that?
Well, that's part of where, the brand exploration is really important, because we do dive into the values and the vision for the business and the goals of the business. And that can usually shed some light on what the driving motivator is. So for the Sage, for example, their driving motivation is curiosity. They want to understand the world. They're all about uncovering wisdom and sharing it. And that might not be, might not be a teacher naturally, but it might be some part of your brand somehow. So it's not necessarily the most obvious just from what you do for your business. It might be in how you do it or how you approach it. So that's why having you can take, there's quizzes online you can take too. I don't know that any one is better than the other, but it'll at least give you some place to start. But I do really like that Iconic Fox site, the resource they have on brand archetypes, because it walks you through each of them. It gives you examples. It tells you, the main motivator for each, the fears that each has, gives you some examples of brands in the real world that, are part of this archetype. And so that can kind of help you recognize, oh, okay, yes, these are the fears of my brand. These are the motivators of my brand. These are what my clients fear. This is, So it's a good starting point, I guess.
Interesting. So I've had a lot of, a lot of branding specialists and people on this show that marketing agencies and do, different things with branding, but I haven't had anyone discuss this. So I'm finding this actually fascinating, but I don't know that I would call myself a sage necessarily, but I probably have a sliver of that in there. The one I will tell you I absolutely am not wasn't there one about being organized or something?
The ruler, that's mine. All about bringing order and peace and prosperity.
I'm more a visionary. I would say I do fall more into the creative space, the visionary space.
As soon as you said visionary, I was thinking you probably fall under the artist. Yeah, you'll sometimes hear it called innovator or creator, depending on how they go by different names, but it's the same kind of core idea.
But there were some other ones in there that I think I'm probably a blend of all of those. So,
and I think that's important. I think sometimes I've heard brand archetypes get a bad rep because people say, oh, they're one note, or, oh, they're stereotypes. And I think if you're picking just one and just going all in on that, and ignoring what your client is, ignoring that there's nuance, then it is going to be one note and not. But once you start getting your supporting archetype in there, and your client's main and supporting ones too, then that's 4 different variables. So it can end up being very unique and very specific to you and your client. So it can be
I think right there, you are just sharing your expertise and your brilliance and why people should hire you because you already kind of push back in the industry or what people are saying. And I think that's really important for people to know that we're true experts. It's deeper.
Yes,
there's just more, right, than the surface level stuff that people see. So,
and that's why I said that the online quizzes are a good place to start, but it definitely helps to have somebody who's worked with them before take you through it, whether that's somebody from the copy side or somebody from the design side or whatever.
Right.
But,
so good. Amanda, this has been so great. So much. It's so interesting to me. So thank you so much for sharing and for being on the show. And how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way? Actually, we were just at our website. So
you can go back to my website.
There is a button to book a call there. Is that how you want people to reach out to you? Or is there some other thing that you would like to offer them?
Yeah, book a call on my website or find me on LinkedIn and connect. Either one of those would be great. So.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And everyone, we'll put all of her links in the show notes so you can reach out to her in whatever way feels like a fit. You can see she's such an easy person to talk to, and she truly loves, you can see the passion for what she is doing.
I do get a little excited about it. Yes.
Yes. And it's how she became an expert at what she does. So I absolutely love that. I resonate with that so much. So make sure that you share the show, like it, give feedback. We always welcome sharing. I always say sharing is caring. So, put it out there, and it's so important that other people find things that could be of help to them. So thank you again for being here. And until next week, everyone, go rock your business. God bless you. And I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye. If you've enjoyed this episode, I want to invite you to go check out a free training that I have at expertinu.us. It is a training that I have on how you can get ultra premium dream clients, scale your business, get more freedom, and really simplify your business and multiply your money. So go check that out. And again, that is expertinu.us. I want to thank you for being here with me this week. I hope you found massive value. Please always leave a comment, feedback, or a question. We check them all. And I want you to go rock your business, and make sure you join us again next week. God bless you. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.